Good morning and happy Thursday, everybody. This is Don Czechowski, the Director of Channel Sales for Fidelity National Title. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's Market of the Moment. As usual, I need to go into my Facebook settings real quick and make sure that this post is public so people can see it and share it, and we're good to go there. So I am excited with our special guest, Miss Kristy Ryan, today from Remax Fine Properties, and we're going to hear a lot from Kristy today. So Kristy, we'll be right back to you. My co-host each week, Miss Sharon Terhune, the Vice President of Sales for Fidelity National Title. Good morning, Sharon.
Morning, everybody.
And filling in for Ms. Amber Kabark this week, we always love it when Annette's here, because whenever Annette's here, she usually lowers interest rates, makes money practically free. And I don't know if you've been paying attention lately, Annette, but Amber's been raising the rates. So we've got very high expectations for you this week, and looking to see that Annette nearly free money showing up this week.
We'll see.
No pressure on you.
No pressure.
Yeah. But I'm also really excited to talk, and we're going to get to a little bit later, about those Fannie Mae guidelines. I saw your post on Facebook this week, and I think that's going to impact a lot of different areas. So I'm excited to jump into a conversation on that a little bit later as well. And as always, Ms. Mindy Jones, the owner of the Amy Jones Group with Keller Williams Integrity First. Good morning, Mindy.
Morning, guys. We've got some good information about what's happening with inventory.
Excellent. We're looking forward to it. And that's what, I actually forgot the official nickname for Mindy is Market Master Mindy. And so she's always bringing us great information. But as you know, each week we rotate out a different special guest. And this week we wanted to spend a little time talking about luxury and what's happening in the luxury market and those higher price points. It's always been, for the time that I've been in this business, the entry-level homes have always had a lot of activity around them. But, we're hearing a lot and seeing a lot of activity around some of these higher price homes as well. So, Kristy, thank you so much for jumping on with us today. And we're really excited to hear what your experiences have been over this last year and how things are looking in the luxury market.
Well, thank you for having me. It's certainly been an amazing COVID ride for the luxury market here in the greater metropolitan Phoenix area. We have really seen this phenomenal. It was a little tiny pause last March when the COVID, came to our world, and things kind of paused for a short while. But within a few weeks, it just took off. And then really we saw the huge acceleration in the luxury market sales really start June 1st, if we can mark a spot. Between June 1st and the end of the calendar year, December 31st, there was phenomenal increase in sales, and luxury sales being $1 million and up. But of the really big sales, obviously too, that was probably the biggest, show basically was people coming from a ton of California. We have a ton of California coming over here, but we have other places coming here too. I mean, we have around the United States, around the world, locally, those moving up. But the focus was basically, hey, if the luxury client can't go to Europe and travel for a month or go do this or that they were used to doing, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to be at home, and their home now has to be better, bigger, more fabulous. And so that's kind of the push we saw in that luxury sales going off the chart with the high-end estates and sales and properties, bigger, better, bigger, better. So it was pretty phenomenal to see. For instance, in Paradise Valley, the market there between June 1st and the 31st of December had 305 sales, $1 million or higher. And of those, 7 of the sales were 6 million and higher.
Wow.
Like 20 million, 11 million, 18 million, one home, one large estate home. So the push was clearly, the buyers were saying, if we are going to be stuck at home and it's just going to be our family or maybe a few friends, we're going to make it good. We're going to enjoy this life. And this is how we're going to do it. We need space. We need outside backyard resorts because we can't go to the resorts anymore. So it's really amazing. And then even this year, just in these short 2.5 months, we've had 120 sales in Paradise Valley, $1 million or more. And of those, 10 were over 5 million.
Wow.
Just since January 1st, 5 million to 14.5 million.
Incredible.
Same exact story, just larger numbers. If you look at the 85255, the Silverleaf DC Ranch, 85262, 85266, North Scottsdale, you look that in the same, just bigger numbers as far as more sales because it's more area. It's just a repeat, and they've had, the $20 million sales, $34 million sales, it's just unbelievable. But people are gobbling, again, a lot of California. I think I pick up probably 4 new California buyers a week right now.
Wow.
And they want a house today. And I'm like, okay, we don't have a lot of inventory. We're going to do the best we can and finding you that dream house you want. Of course, they still think it's like 2012 pricing. And I'm like, no, that's all gone. We've enjoyed a big run up in valuation, obviously due to that low inventory and the high demand, the buyer's high demand. So we've had a run up in valuations that's been pretty phenomenal. Obviously some people are a little nervous and saying, are we doing 2005, 2006, 2007 again? Is this what we're looking at right now? But, through the Cromford reports and following that data, there's simply just not enough inventory to meet the demands for the foreseeable future.
Kristy, what was really interesting to me is that you mentioned June 1st is that date where the market caught fire. And it's funny because we really saw jumbo loans go away when we started seeing the spread of COVID across the country and we started seeing the shutdowns, that a lot of those jumbo loan packages were gone. So, and I realize at the $5 million buyer level and some of those other folks, they're not really going to be impacted by that as much. But these guys who are between $1 million and $2 million, or right there close to that $1 million are probably more susceptible to that. So did you see a lot of activity around the lending processes and different solutions for those buyers?
So much of it is cash.
Yeah.
It's in this luxury market, so much is cash. Now in the like million to 2.5 to 3 million, you see more of the big jumbo mortgage.
Yeah.
But when you get above that 3 million mark, you start seeing so much cash. Yes. It's pretty amazing. I mean, it blows the mind. It's like,
wow. The California people are selling their little 1,000 square foot beach condo, and they're taking that cash and buying themselves a 4,000 square foot house in Arizona.
Right. Exactly. It's pretty amazing. Interestingly, I just listed a new property in Canyon Heights and Pinnacle Peak area last week. It's on 14 acres, just over 14 acres. And it is 11,340 square feet of beautiful Mediterranean, phenomenal estate. The main house is about 10,000 square feet, a separate guest house of about 1,100 square feet, and a separate third house on the property. It's called a gatehouse for like a nanny or a gatekeeper or a property keeper or someone. That's a small house, about a 600 square foot house at the gate, the main gate. And interestingly, I put a coming soon sign, and 2 of the interested buyers that have now come to see it both live in the same neighborhood, and they're in 6,000 and 7,000 square foot homes, and that's not big enough for them now. So they want to stay right where they are. They love right where they are, but they want bigger.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
We see that a lot. We see that a lot at all price points, right? And I think that goes back to Kristy, what you said at the beginning, which is COVID changed people's circumstances and what they want out of their home. And we're seeing at all price points, lots of people trying to stay in their same area, their same neighborhood. They're happy with all of that. There's an opportunity for them to be able to get more and serve more of the needs that they have at home too.
Right. And again, that whole, it was interesting because remember a few years ago, there was this big push that like in Silverleaf, DC Ranch, Arcadia, PV, homes that were like 8,000, 9,000 square feet were like, oh, nobody wants those anymore. Everyone wants like 4,000 to 5,000 square feet, no bigger. So all these people were downsizing and trying to get rid of these huge homes and properties. Exactly the opposite now. They're gobbling them up. Right now, we have only, in all of Maricopa County, 3,064 homes available for sale, single family homes. Now I'm talking every price range, from 100,000 to 100 million. We only have.
We'd probably be happy if we, like if we had 3,000 luxury properties, that would be a pretty good number.
Exactly. It's so down. It's so down. Yeah, it's crazy. And of those 3,064 single family homes for sale, only 1,091 have pools.
Wow.
I mean, so it's a third. It's a third of them that have pools. So you see this, there's just simply not enough supply of these luxury homes with these big estate, resort style backyards, and more bedrooms, more bathrooms, more game rooms, more theater rooms. That's what this luxury buyer market is looking for right now. And we just have very, very little inventory. It's been hovering a little bit under 3,000 to a little bit over 3,000, like for the past many, many months, just goes down, drops down 100 or 2, goes up 100 or 2. It's not going anywhere significant. We're not getting any traction. People keep saying, well, come summer when it's hotter, certainly there'll be more inventory then. I'm like, I doubt it. Right now, you have multiple buyers, multiple offers on everything. So where is this magic inventory going to come from?
Right. Yeah. I think, Sharon, you had a question?
No, I was just going to make a comment saying, honestly, I think starting a business in the pool business today might be knocking on those other 2,000 doors to build a pool.
Well, the pool companies are super backed up right now. They've got huge waiting lists, like anything else in the home buying industry, right? It's super backed up, but also the prices have gone way up, and it goes back to that supply and demand. And also, I think, I'm sure there's material cost increases that, are affecting the pool industry, but I think if the pool company knows you can get $100,000 more for your house than you could a year ago, then why wouldn't they raise the price of a component of what made you get that extra money in your home?
Absolutely.
And Mindy, to that point, construction price has gone through the roof, especially for these luxury homes. The what it used to take to build, I've done several luxury spec homes in the past. Just recently, in the last 3 years, I did 2 separate luxury home builds, and myself as a financier. And the price has gone up like 35% between the last one I did a year and a half ago and the one I'm doing right now.
Wow.
35%. And wood supply, roof supply, plumbing, electrical, all the concrete. When we were pouring our slab about 2 months ago, literally we got put off a week this is the biggest concrete vendor in all of Maricopa County. and he had to put us off a week because he said, I don't have any concrete right now.
What?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's unbelievable. We were scheduled for concrete pour a certain day, and we waited a whole other week until he got concrete.
Wow.
Well, I have to tell you, when I come through my neighborhood, it's hilarious because I drive down my street that you come, through the neighborhood, and there are just Monday through Friday, there are work trucks lining the street, and this neighborhood's 4 years old. It's not like it's like they just finished building it out, but there are work trucks. There's people getting pools put in. They're redoing their yards. We've redone our yard. It's amazing to me how much, and I think, Kristy, you alluded to it earlier about, the psychology behind it all, right? That people aren't traveling the way that they were. They, and they're like, I want to enjoy my home. And I know that's been a big deal for us personally, that we want to be in a house where we can host, where, where we love being. And it's, that psychology is really what has fed in so much to all of this drive for inventory, or this drive to purchase, this drive to do home improvements, the whole thing. So it's pretty crazy.
Absolutely. It's pretty unbelievable, actually. And I mean, it's been wonderful for Arizona homeowners if you were lucky enough to have already been in a home when all of this started happening. It's amazing. Right. But for the buyer, it's brutal.
Right.
Kristy, I have a question for you. Obviously, we know what's going on in the majority of the market as far as multiple offers go, and the competition to get that listing or to get that buyer, that house. How does that look in the luxury market for you?
Well, we don't really see. We do see multiple offers if it's a newer home or a new home, or a home that's older but has been updated to look new. There you do see multiple offers.
Okay.
Definitely on anything that's land in Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, Arcadia. Land just gets multiple offers. Or tear downs. In the Arcadia and Paradise Valley, it would be tear downs.
Sure.
Those are multiple offers. But generally speaking, an older home that hasn't been updated, it might sit for a little while. I just put one into escrow that is listed at 4.4 million, and it was built in 2011. Beautiful Santa Barbara style home, gorgeous. I mean, drop dead gorgeous, in Paradise Valley on a full acre with Camelback Mountain views. And we were on the market about 70 days. Oh. And then, 70 days. So it's a 10-year-old home. Big high ceilings, soaring high ceilings, hand-sawn wood beams in every room, details like you can't believe. The backyard is truly looks like you're at the Marriott Resort. It's unbelievable. Separate guest house. It's just magnificent. All gated estate. Interestingly, we ended up, the one weekend that it did sell, we ended up with 7 different buyers looking at it. We had a small price reduction because we had been on the market about 60 days. And I said, let's just do a small price reduction. Mm-hmm. We're not getting quite enough activity. So we did a tiny price reduction. And then we had 7 or 8 buyers. And of them, 3 were from Paradise Valley, just wanted bigger homes. And 5 were from California, different parts of California.
Wow. Interesting.
And so we ended up having 3 offers that weekend. And my clients went with the one that was a local buyer from Paradise Valley, just wanting to move up into a bigger, fancier home. And she doesn't need to sell her home first, the buyer, not selling her home first, just making sure she had somewhere to go better that she liked.
Interesting.
Yeah. Did you end up over the price reduction price, out of curiosity, on the multiple offers? No,
we did not. Because the multiple offers came in, but they were at different times. And, so it's a little different. Again, that's a 10-year-old home. Yeah. Had it been a brand new home, like the spec home I'm building right now with my partner, we have it listed at 3.5 million. We've already had 4 full price offers. We've already had an offer 300,000 over our list price.
Wow.
From a ball player coming from the East Coast. And we're only at framing.
Wow.
We're only at framing.
Well, in the luxury market, $1 million plus, Kristy, I think last time I looked, it's what, about a month and a half inventory or so?
Yeah. Very, very, and it used to be, 6 to 9 months of inventory.
Yeah.
So it's way down.
That's a very small inventory for
yes
$1 million plus house. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's a very small inventory, and that's Arcadia, Biltmore, PV, all the way up to Desert Mountain.
Yeah.
Fountain Hills, Silverleaf, DC Ranch, all of it is all feeling the same dynamics going on.
Yeah. Interesting.
So Kristy, knowing that the demand is what it is, when you are meeting with a potential seller, how do you prepare them for maximizing in this, in this market? Obviously with that home, that it was, hitting that right price to get the right attention, and there obviously are different tastes and different appetites for different styles of homes. And as you mentioned, like the brand new homes, those are going like that. And I think we can thank the HGTV world for that stuff. But
yeah, exactly.
But so when you're going in for a seller consult, what does that look like? How do you prepare them for what, how it could be a frenzy, or how it, that we might have to make adjustments as we go? What does that look like?
Well, depending on against the age of the home when I interview, if it's a newer home with all the super, popular transitional style, California coastal, soft contemporary look, I just prepare them like, we need to know where you're going to go, because this will sell fast. And here's what the things have sold for. So we need to tack on another 10, 20% because the market will carry it right now. So I just say the biggest concern is, where are you going to go? Once we get your house in escrow, do you have an exit plan? Or are you going to be homeless? What is going to be the plan? Where are you going to have the roof over your next? Where's your next roof for you? That's, usually their biggest concern is, what are they going to do?
Right.
If it's a slightly older home, there's usually a little more time, because someone will be buying those. People are buying them, and then they'll update them or refresh them themselves as they see they want to stay at a certain price point. Not everyone can afford $6 million. Some people are looking at 2.5, and they grabbing the best, newest thing out there they can, and they'll make little changes. But I basically kind of let them know, depending on the age of the home and the finishes of the home, we should expect to be on the market, only a week. We should expect to be on the market 3 months, maybe 6 months at the very most, but we'll make little price adjustments, after 60 days or so, because in this hot market, you want to get sold within 90 days. It's just, so, if you can't sell within 90 days, you're not in the ball field. Right. You're not playing in the ball field.
Yeah. Mindy, looks like you might have a question.
I just think it's so interesting. Kristy, I'm so happy that you're on this morning. One of the benefits of this market at the moment is we have, different perspectives each week talking about either different segments of the market or solutions for buyers or sellers. And what I think is so interesting about your expertise in the luxury division is that there are so many similarities right now between the different price points. Everybody has different nuances, what buyers are looking for, what's driving their decisions, what they don't have enough of, which, like you spoke to in the luxury space, is space, right? Not only the house size, but the land size, right? Because new construction is not affording them that much land space. And then the idea that wanting something new, and again, we're running out of space to build, except for those tear downs that you talk about, right? And so it's interesting to feel some of those similarities at all of the different price points and know that it's really being driven by that lack of inventory. And we're meeting with clients all the time who are asking about market trends and how things are changing in different parts of the valley and what's driving this and what's driving that. But at the heart of it, when your inventory is so exceptionally low, it impacts all of the price ranges in somewhat of a very similar fashion. So it's really just interesting to hear you relay that information. I think there's a lot of people watching who really don't understand the different nuances at the different levels.
Right. And there are even the $1 million to $2 million, the $2 million to $3 million, the $3 million to $4 million. They're all like little niche markets in of themselves. It's very interesting. I wanted to also add in, the Cromford report gives us the data, weekly, monthly, everything. Interestingly, they just a few days ago came out and said that for sellers, the supply is 77% below normal. Our supply of homes, 77% below normal. That's a number you can get your head around.
Right.
That's the problem right there. And the demand for the homes is 17% above normal. So according to Crawford, you got a big gap there.
Here's where I think you're going to start to see that divergence a little bit in how the market handles this low supply situation. Because at the higher price points, people have the money, right? You talked about already how much of the business that you're doing is in cash. They have the financial means to be making decisions as the market continues to appreciate. Do they want to spend it? Do they not want to spend it, right? That's their barrier to entry. As you go down the rail in the price point of the home, the barrier to entry becomes qualification and also cash to be competitive. And so as you go down that stack and you look at the priced homes where people aren't going to have that cash to be competitive, they're not going to be able to pay $50,000 over appraised value anymore. We're going to make our way through those people who have cash, who are competing at 800, 600, 700, 500, and this is how it's going to get ticked off. You're going to get to the point where a seller may still receive 8 to 10 to 15 offers on their house because the demand is there, but none of them will be waiving appraisals because we will have made our way through the people with cash at that price point. And I think that's going to start to change the trajectory of the appreciation. Now, when you're working in markets where they're primarily cash driven, and we're not as much concerned about appraisals, it's going to take much longer, I think, to see that trajectory change. Do you feel that way in the luxury space? It's going to take a while for the trajectory to change?
Yes, absolutely. It's absolutely. It's interesting, but I tell you, some of the luxury buyers, it's interesting that do get a mortgage. They don't need to get the mortgage. It's just that the rates have been so low and the money's so cheap on these jumbos, especially with some of the big banks, because the big banks love these jumbo clients. Especially they usually have a private banking client history with that bank, like Chase, Wells, whatever. And they want to loan their clients money, the jumbos. They do want, and they want to keep their client with them. They don't want to let them out to another bank. So like if you have I have a client who does all his business with Chase. And so when he went to get the mortgage, he didn't really need a mortgage, but Chase offered him a silly, stupid, like 2.7% jumbo rate on $2 million because they just wanted to stay married to him. They want to keep him close. They don't want to let him go out and shop to other big banks, afraid that he'll take his business with him. So they're doing these little sweetheart incentive mortgages for those high-end and they didn't even, he wasn't going to get a mortgage. He was like, well, it's so cheap. Why not? I mean, good grief.
And that's I think for folks who are in that situation, the reality is that they are good at being able to put that money to work for them, and they're going to be getting a lot better return than that 2.7, 3%, whatever that number looks like. They're going to be getting a lot better return on that money. And since, Annette and her friends are giving away the money over there, so why wouldn't you, right? Why wouldn't you leverage that cash to go and make yourself some more money? So
right. And a lot of them are obviously in the stock market too. They have a lot of funds in the stock market, and they like that, the diversity, and they're making money there and doing well there. It's also interesting, the yacht world, the boating and yacht world has seen a huge run up also.
Really?
Yes. It's just fascinating. I was talking to someone in the Northwest a few weeks ago, and they said yacht sales are just off the chart.
Yeah, I usually get my yacht from Annette. She's the only yachter I know on the call. But
so it's fascinating. This is what these luxury clientele are doing right now, because they're not going to Europe for a month, and they're not doing the regular things they would do. And so what are they doing? Things to improve their life with their families and whatnot. And they've got the money to do it.
That's fascinating. Hey, Kristy, I have a question for you. And maybe you don't have the numbers right at hand, but how many $1 million plus houses are you projected to sell this year? And do you know how many you sold last year? I'm just curious.
Oh gosh. Myself?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, last year I would have sold, I generally run about 40 to 45 home sales a year.
And your average price point is well over $1 million.
Oh yeah, well over $1 million. So, I mean, it's been consistent for the last, 15, 16 years. I generally sell about 40 to 45 homes, and rarely do they go under $1 million. So yeah. I'd have to look back. I'm sure. I think I was about like 39, and already this year I'm crushing that new number. So
yeah. Yes, you
it's
are.
good. Well, interestingly, the Cromford report that came out a few days ago said that the last 6 weeks of inventory, that the realtors listed 2,059 new listings in 6 weeks. So that would have been, basically all of February and the last half of January. 2,059 new listings. The problem is, during that same 6 week period, 2,312 got put into escrow.
Yeah.
So you see, that's not really a problem. It's great, but more things went into escrow than new things came on, which is why it's still keeping that inventory suppressed.
Right.
And that's across the board.
It's kind of what you said, though, Kristy. You're sitting here building this. You already have offers, and it's not in MLS, right?
It is in MLS.
Oh, it is.
It is in MLS. Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff that's not in MLS that offers are going out on, and that's going to definitely skew some of that.
Yeah, it's and we've not wanted to accept even the 300,000 offer over, because it's like, wow, well, what if it goes up to 600,000 by the time we finish? I mean, I don't know. What the supply is so restricted and tight, and the demand is so huge. So I'm like, we know we're not gonna. I've already had 2 increases since we started the project in September, and we're getting ready to take another increase. We're gonna add another 300,000 onto it here shortly, in a few weeks.
Well, your expenses are probably going up, riding that wave as well. So you have to kind of.
Oh, the prices are. Yeah, we're bidding pools, talking to Mindy about pool building. We've been bidding the pool, and it's a big showy pool. And the what used to cost basically 80,000 builder pricing for the pool is now 120.
Wow.
Yep, wow. 120 for same pool, same size.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, incredible. Well, Kristy, thank you so much for sharing your insights and what's going on, and we appreciate. And you're going to hang out with us for the rest of our show to see if there's anything else, and if any questions come in, I appreciate it. And I think there's some great information out there, and so many similarities yet so many differences in these markets and how things are impacted by price. So I think there is a lot for us all to take away from this, as far as those demands. And oh, I was going to ask you one more question. So right now, if you're a seller or a buyer, you have to make a lot of accommodations. If you're looking in the move ups, the entry levels, there's people doing 6 month plus post possessions, that kind of stuff, in order to be able to get a house under contract. Are many things like that happening in the luxury market, where there are post possessions? And I realize those people might have some different resources available to them for housing, so maybe it doesn't happen as much. But I was just curious if we're seeing those kind of accommodations.
Not really.
Okay.
No, not really. They you might get I just negotiated 4 extra days for my clients to stay in the $4.4 million house, just so they could see that it closed, have their money in the bank, and then move out.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, but it's not like you see in the 200, 300, 400, 500 section.
Yeah.
That's very different. Yeah.
Okay.
Even in that $900,000, I have a client right now that's a long-term client. This is like the 7th house they bought and sold for one of the kids, or adult kids, and the adult child is looking for about 900 to 950. And we just keep writing offers and, waiving inspections, waiving the appraisal, waiving, just everything, and still nothing. We have not been able to secure a house. And it's been about a month.
So I have a home coming to market in Gilbert. It's going to be listed at $860,000.
Okay.
It is more than 4,000 square feet. It already has a pool and a spa. 2017 build. So if you'd like that one, we can talk about that.
Wow. That will go very fast, Mindy. Don't you expect that I'll have multiple offers?
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay, we're going to make our shift now, and we're going to switch over to our mortgage update with Annette. And Annette, first, thank you for making the time to join us today, and we appreciate whenever you do make the time to get on here. I saw one of your Facebook posts. It was, I believe, the end of last week or the beginning of this week. It's all blending together for me at this point. And but it was specifically talking about some new restrictions and agreements that Fannie Mae has made, and I was hoping we could start off talking about that and the relation to those changes and commitments they made to investors and to people who are looking for second homes.
Yeah, there was some major changes in that. And what's interesting, when it comes to their portfolio, they're really looking at downsizing the second home and investment space. So right now they're running over 7% of their portfolio is investment in second homes. And so they put out this announcement last week that they are going to downsize that, make sure it's 7%, no more than 7% a month would they buy in mortgage-backed securities for second homes or investments. So really, what does that mean for us? What does that mean for our second home buyers? What does that look like for them? And I'll tell you that it looks a little bleak. It's going to cost more for them to purchase these types of homes, whether it's investment or second home. It can actually, some lenders last week, it immediately shot up their pricing. Others, like Guild, we didn't do that quite yet. We did a little bit, but they're anticipating 5 or plus more points just to get into those particular homes. So you'll be seeing a lot of mortgage lenders go in and say, hey, we need to find a private investor. We need a private investor for these second homes, for these investment properties, instead of selling those mortgages back to Fannie and Freddie. So you're going to see a lot of that, I think, over the next 6 to 12 months. People will offer specials for those. But right now in the immediate interim, you're going to see the pricing go up on the pricing on the rates go up on the second homes and the investments.
So when we talk about going up, you're saying it's going to go up into the 5s, or it's going to go up an additional 5?
So
I know you know for sure, but I'm just putting you on the spot here. Don't you have all the answers?
I try to, because I do keep up on the markets and seeing which way all of this is going and how it really does impact us. We've got a lot of people moving in here that are buying a second home. They've been stuck in Michigan and haven't been able to go to Europe, just like Kristy was saying. They haven't been able to do those things. And so they're coming down here, buying these second homes. And if they're now getting a mortgage, it's really going to impact their pricing. So meaning that the interest rate not only will go up, which I'm not clear on how much that is, but the cost for the interest rate will be going up. So there's quite a bit of a difference with that in comparison to buying a primary residence, right? Like right now, we're still in the low 3s for a primary mortgage, but the second homes, they're inching up a lot faster. Like I said, some of the lenders out there have already increased it multiples, right? You're looking at mortgages like 4.5%, 5%, plus you're going to pay a point or two just to get it. So especially on investment properties, they're just not going to hold those in their portfolio anymore. So private investors are looking to be in smooth sailing moving forward into the next year, and they'll probably be getting more demand for loans as far as private investors are concerned. So I'm interested in seeing how that's all going to work. But I will tell you, the market volatility right now is palpable, right? You've got so many things. It's very risky, just like last week showed us when they made this announcement for second homes and investment properties. You should have locked in prior to that. So I'm just telling everybody, with the market volatility right now, you need to just lock in, take the hit, go forward, and don't look back. So there's a lot going on right now, a lot.
Yeah, well, and it seems that way, and we've spent a lot of time over the last few months talking about, that these super low rates, which in the 3s still qualify as super low rates. That how much that has fueled the market, right? That the affordability is so much better when the money is so much less expensive, and that you can buy more house than you could buy before. And to Mindy's point earlier about what you qualify for, well, you're qualifying for more, and you can spend more money when you're paying next to nothing in interest than when you're paying 5 and 6%.
Right.
Not that 5 or 6% is crazy either, because it's not. But but that's where we were, 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Oh yeah, when I purchased my first house in 1995, my interest rate was 7.5%. So I look at these 3s, even the mid to higher 3s, as a gift. It's amazing.
Annette, I can top that. Our first home in Manhattan Beach in 1978, when we bought our first home, our mortgage rate was 12.75%. And it was an assumable. So the people that bought it from us 2 years later, and we made a huge $45,000 profit in 2 years that we owned it in Manhattan Beach, and we moved back to Arizona at that point for work. And the people bought it from us and assumed the loan.
Yeah.
At 12.75%. And we thought we were rock stars getting such a great rate.
Yeah, because at that time, you're looking at going into the 1980s where interest rates were at all-time highs.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So that assumable loan would have been fantastic for someone to take over, for sure.
Yeah, and they paid us a little more money for the house than it really was worth at the time to get our loan, to get our mortgage.
Yeah. So I mean, ultimately, with where our markets are at right now, we're going to see volatility all year long. The last 6 weeks to 8 weeks, it's been very volatile. In fact, there's been some movements up and down like I've never seen before, except for the first 2 weeks of the pandemic. When everyone was closed off, those first 2 weeks of the pandemic, it was just all over the place. Now, it's still kind of all over the place, but it's slowly, the mortgage-backed securities are slowly getting less and less, meaning rates are going up and up. So, you know, like I said, though, we're still in the threes. Things are still bright, you know, so it's still in a good space. You can't, just lock in, though. Don't take the risk. Just lock your loan. Just lock your loan.
Yeah.
That's it.
Great advice. And then as far as products go, we're seeing pretty much a full array of products at this point, and no restrictions there.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, there's some restrictions coming. Still, again, Fannie and Freddie are making some new rules and things like that. So I'm anticipating that throughout the year. However, our products and services are starting to expand. So we've got things like the bridge loan. We have our brand new jumbo that just came out. It is a Guild exclusive jumbo. So we're super stoked about that. There's really great pricing on the jumbo space right now. So I'm excited for that one. You know, we don't have to follow all the restrictive rules and guidelines that other investors have for their jumbos. So I'm excited about that one.
Excellent. That's great news. Okay, I want to make the shift to Market Master Mindy, and thank you, Mindy, for each week giving us kind of the update of where we're seeing things and what inventory is looking like. And I know that you and your team have been out there getting as many listings as you can to help the inventory situation. So we appreciate that. So how are things looking?
Yeah, so it's really, today is really one of my favorite episodes. I think each week I probably say that, but Kristy did a really good job of giving us a baseline of what's happening in the market. She's right. We sit well under 4,000 listings available on the market. I think, you know, what's really interesting about properties up to $1 million where you're not seeing as much of that cash come into play is a lot of these things that Annette is talking about as far as that volatility goes, that's really impacting that under $1 million range. And so, you know, you guys know that I write the market update for the Gilbert Sun News every month, and I just sent that over to them yesterday. And the whole theme is that there are very early signs of some shifting in our market under $1 million. And there's some good themes there, right? So, you know, I think the first piece that we talk about is really the folks who do still have cash to be competitive in that under $1 million price point. What we're talking about with our clients, you know, at that price point is how much do you want to pay a month, right? What do you, when you find a house, right? We're getting away from talking about how much we think it's going to appraise for, because right now appraisals are so all over the place. We've had houses appraise that really shouldn't have. There isn't really a reason for them to have appraised. I mean, we as listing agents do everything we can to get them to appraise, obviously, but there are times where I've had properties appraised that there really is no reason for them to. And then on the same side, we've had properties come in at what I know is under market value because the appraisers feel some sense of responsibility for what they think could happen to them as values change, and that they're responsible somehow for overvaluing properties throughout this process. And so they purposefully come in and undervalue the property. And I know from the minute that I talk to them at the house that that's going to happen. So because the range and appraisals right now are so great, we're really trying to get away from talking to our clients about how much something is going to appraise for. And we instead have the conversation of, how much do you want to pay a month? What can you do? What are you comfortable for a monthly payment? That tells us how high we can offer. And how much cash do you have? And that tells us how much we can waive. And then that's what we're doing. We're going in on the offer and we're waiving as much as they have the ability to waive. And we're going as high as they feel comfortable paying monthly payment. And the rest plays it out through the transaction. And so with that being the conversation, there are some buyers that are made for this market and there are some buyers that are not made for this market. And so our job is to make sure that the people who are able to compete in this type of a market, exploring all of the available solutions to do that, right? We've touched on many of those in the market in the moment. Put down less payment, do a recast. I mean, we know that there's dozens of opportunities for people right now who have money. We make sure that we're exploring all of those. And if you have the ability to do it, we're making sure that you have the chance to do that. Under that $1 million price point, we're also seeing some volatility in other areas. As we run through these people who have the cash to be competitive in this type of a market, the market conditions are going to start to change. And we're already seeing that a little bit. We're actually seeing an uptick of inventory. So again, it's all relative, right? So Kristy mentioned that demand is 17% over normal. Well, back in December, it was 35% over normal. So demand is starting to take a tick down. And again, we still don't have enough houses for people. So your average consumer is not going to be feeling any of this, which is why it's important that you work with a team like mine, or you work with someone like Kristy, who's really got a magnifying glass, right, around these numbers, because we can see some of this stuff before the average consumer is going to be able to feel it. And so what we see is that demand starting to come down a little bit, because there's people that can't compete in this type of a market. There's people who have fatigue, right? I mean, there's reasons why they're temporarily sort of out of the market, if you will. And then simultaneously, you see an increase in listings. Again, not nearly enough, but over the last couple of weeks, we've been posting more new listings than we've seen over the last 3 months. And that's also for a variety of different reasons. You've got people that opted out of the market because it was too challenging, but now their neighbor has sold for $100,000 more than they could have 4 months ago. And so they're like, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll go into a rental. I'll move my family into temporary housing. I'll buy a house half the price of what we can actually afford, because it'll be a temporary move, because we're still projecting another 35% increase this year. Right. And so we're seeing those people enter the market again. We're seeing the buyers who were able to get into new construction last summer, right, when we had no resale homes on the market, right? We had 3 times what we have now, but we thought we had none, right? We moved all those people into new construction because there were opportunities for them. They could still go in, buy a house, put their money on a lot, which you can't do today. And all those people are moving in. So they have houses to sell. So now those are coming to market. So it's, you know, if you keep a really close eye on this stuff, you can see all of this happening, right? So market conditions are changing under $1 million. We still don't have enough houses for people. So your average consumer is not going to feel anything right away. We're not talking about house prices going down. In fact, we're not even talking about them not going up. But at some point, they're not going to go up quite as fast. When you sell a house in a neighborhood today, you are now the comp. So if you sold $50,000, $60,000 over, someone paid over appraised value, it was cash, it doesn't matter, it closed, now it's your comp. So we're going from that price point up, right? We still saw a 3% increase month over month this month, March 15th through February 15th. So we're still hitting that 1 to 3% a month trajectory that we've sort of anticipated going into the middle of January. And so we're not going to see anything change there too quickly, but these are very early signs that we're making our way through the people with money under the $1 million price point, which will change the market conditions, which will bring back those people who were previously not able to compete. It will bring them back into the marketplace. And then as some of this new construction that people have been moving into, they already have $40,000, $60,000, $80,000 in their home, and they just moved in.
Right.
And so as more inventory comes to the market, you're going to start to see some movement of that new inventory. But, you know, if you go into new construction right now, they'll tell you 12 to 18 months between when you're going to get called on your list and then actual build time. So we're not going to be able to solve this whole problem anytime soon, but there's going to be different pieces of the market that can compete based on what the selling conditions look like.
Mindy, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think that when this forbearance period and the foreclosure moratorium lifts, do you think we will see more listings, specifically under the $1 million mark?
Absolutely. Again, there's not going to be more than enough, right? Because the gap is too large, but I do think we've hit the max gap. And I think that's going to start to shore up. And as those moratoriums are lifted, then people are going to do something about the equity that they have in their home. It's not going to create a foreclosure windfall, right? Because they've got enough equity. The bank, there's plenty of other people to buy it before the bank is going to buy it, right? They're going to walk away with money no matter what. But at this point, they haven't had to do anything. So why would they have entered into the market when they know it's challenging, right? They didn't have a reason to do that. So as those things are lifted, they're going to have a reason to actually put it on the market, sell it, take their money out of it, and figure out what they're going to do at that point. So absolutely, we'll see more inventory. Yeah.
Right. Take their whatever money they have,
exactly,
pay back the bank what they owe them for the year they didn't pay,
absolutely,
and walk away with their equity in their.
They'll still walk away with money. Exactly right. They'll be able to pay the fees. They'll be able to pay the house. They'll be able to take some for moving costs. They'll be able to get right, and they'll probably put a little bit of money in their pocket, and they'll probably end up in a rental for a short period of time, until they can figure out what their next step is. And so I think you're going to see a lot of people in transition, which is going to continue to drive the need for housing that can be used as rental properties. I was talking to an investor client of mine yesterday, also from California, and he already has one rental property here. And he's like, oh, the prices have gone up so much. Did I lose my chance to get in? And it's like, rental prices are up 15%. In a market of 3 years that it's going to take minimum to shore up this gap between buyers and sellers, that's going to continue. Even if your house price were to stay the same, which it won't, but even if your house price were to stay the same, the rental prices are going to continue to go up. So anything that you can grab, I will be grabbing it. And we know that other people feel that way, which is why we're getting over asking offers from people like Open Door and OfferPad. Where when you get those offers, you're kind of like, what's the catch? What do you mean you're going to pay $17,000 over? What do you mean it's all cash? We now have the cash backed option for buyers. We're under contract on one of those for our sellers, right? So if it doesn't appraise, the company will buy it. And you're kind of like, why? Well, really the ultimate goal here is for them to garner more inventory.
Right. Yeah. Well, Mindy, thank you so much for the update. And it's amazing how quickly our hour goes each week. So if you haven't seen we realize an hour is a lot of time out of people's calendar, and each week we are posting the express version of the market of the moment, and it's the human highlight reel, if you will, of our conversations. So that will get posted on Monday. So keep an eye out for that, and we appreciate everybody for hopping on today. And Sharon, did you have a question before we go, or anything else?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to let everybody know that here at Fidelity, we have some new luxury programs launching, some opportunity out there for those folks like Kristy and Mindy. I know you sell high-end stuff as well as the lowest too, but we do have some luxury opportunities and different lead streams and stuff that are recently available, which is really why we were so excited to get Kristy on today and really talk today on that luxury market, just to kind of give a little bit of a teaser out there on things to come. So thank you. And thank you, Kristy. Thank you, Mindy. Always great, fabulous market update information. And Kristy, just fantastic to hear about what's going on in the luxury market. And Dawn, have a blast in Vegas.
Thank you. Thank you, Dawn.
Absolutely. Next week, we're going to be back, and our guest is going to be Mr. Curtis Johnson. And for those of you guys who don't know Curtis, Curtis has, when it comes to branding and building out that brand, Curtis has done an amazing job, and he's going to be sharing some insight into that process and how he's arrived where he has through doing that. So we're really excited to host him next week. Thank you all for being a part of this today. I know Annette had to run, so we just really appreciate everybody and look forward to talking to you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.